Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of the Headbangers Variety Show. And we are now hosted by Simon Sez every week. Simon will be here every week now. So you got to put up with him as well as you got to put up with us.
Oh, geez.
I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but you know what? I think it's fun. The banter back and forth and kind of having a buffer between Glenn and I is obviously good also. So it's been fun. So Simon, welcome and as the official host of the Headbangers Variety Show.
And we've spruced up our production. You can see the text on the screen.
Yeah, we're trying to StreamYard work this week. It didn't work last week. It's working so far. The intro we were making fun of Glenn because he's kind of remote and it'll be like the old kung fu movies where you'll hear words and then his mouth will meet up later on with it. Catch up with the words later.
Yeah, Glenn is joining us. Glenn is joining us from his mobile home studio.
He's in a van.
That's right. Yes,
it's in a van down by the river. So yes,
I live in my car
down by the river.
I can only do that with one arm right now.
Yes. We left off episode 5 last week with a question, which I kind of flubbed. What we're gonna do moving forward is have a question ahead of time that I text you guys. You give the answer at the end of the episode, and folks will have to tune in to episode 7 to find out what the question was. Kind of like we did the first time, Chaz.
Yeah, I like that.
But last week in advance, people found out. I asked you guys a question. Something that not only I've been wondering, but I'm sure everybody that's a fan of the Headbangers, especially you guys, your resurgence in 2016 on SmackDown, you guys can still go. You guys are still in ring shape. Who would you like to have a match against, or a feud, a storyline, an angle, a prolonged story right now, a team that is active right now? So we'll start with Glenn. Glenn, I want to hear yours first.
A team that's active right now. Wow.
You had a week to think about it, Glenn.
You've had a whole week. He forgot.
I know.
Forgot his homework assignment.
FTR, maybe. I would love to do stuff with them. I like their stuff. I like their old school ways. I like their ring work and I like their, how they function together in a tag team in the ring. So I'd say right now, FTR.
And you think the Headbangers versus FTR aesthetic would lend itself to a good prolonged story? Like the promos?
I think with, they could, I don't know if you consider them old school or new school or whatever.
They're a throwback.
I think, they actually both remind me of Ole Anderson.
Okay.
Their ring work and stuff like that. When I see them, that's who I think of.
It's fun.
So I think it would be good.
Yeah, they are like a modern day version of the Brainbusters, no?
Yes. Yeah, Tully. Yep.
What about you, Chaz?
So I did mine a little differently though. I kind of put more of a dream scenario together than an actual feud right now. Like I think
that wasn't the question.
Well, that's the way I took it until Simon just changed it right now. I just took WrestleMania.
Changing the question.
I had changed it. I wrote down from last week right here, team and storyline if you could go into WrestleMania 41. So this would be my storyline going into WrestleMania 41. Obviously this could never happen, but dream match that I thought about that would be great, that we'd have a great storyline with, would be, let's include the Midnight Express, the Rock and Roll Express, let's throw the Hardys in, and then us. And it's a giant feud that goes all the way to WrestleMania 41 that ends in a scaffold match.
Oh.
There hasn't been a scaffold match in how long?
A long time.
Yeah.
A long, long time. So I think that would be, we've wrestled Ricky and Robert. We've wrestled Matt and Jeff. One of our, we have a couple of dream matches that we talked about we'd love to have. One would be the Midnight Express. Another one would be Demolition. But Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, the Hardys, Headbangers, scaffold match.
And there's a built-in story there for the people that are not in the know or educated. You guys are very heavily associated, forever entwined and linked with Jim Cornette.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you guys credit Corny as giving you like at least part of a leg up for your big break?
Oh, 100%.
100%.
100%. Yeah.
If it wasn't for Cornette, the Headbangers was his idea. It was his creation when we went.
His baby.
He called. We were working in Ozark Mountain, and Tracy Smothers and Ricky and Robert were coming over and going back and forth, and we gave them tapes. And Glenn knew Cornette. I met Cornette before, but Glenn knew him obviously better than I did back in the day when I first started. But no, Cornette called us and said, "Hey, I want to bring you guys in. I want you guys to replace the gangsters. They're finishing up. I want you to come and take their spot. But I hate the masks." He goes, "I hate the hoods." He goes, "I want you guys to come in." And I had this idea. He said, "I went to this concert," and imagine Jim Cornette at a Glenn Danzig concert. He was at the Glenn Danzig concert, and he was like, this opening act came out. He goes, and these guys were wearing dresses, and they were diving off the stage, and they were in these pits, like beating the shit out of each other. And I knew exactly what he was talking about because I'd been to concerts like that. I've been in mosh pits. I'd staged it. Like I did all of that before. So I knew exactly what he was talking about. But he's like, they had tattoos, they had piercings, they wore dresses and skirts. And he goes, not that I want you guys to go that far. He goes, but that's kind of the idea. And then we showed up at the first TV, and we literally didn't even know what our names were. It was like, he goes, you're going to be mosh, you're going to be thrash and slash or something. And I don't know, you're going to be like Headbangers. And that's literally how the gimmick started.
Wow.
And sorry, let me backpedal. The opening act for Glenn Danzig that night was Marilyn Manson.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
So wait, so see, I don't know why I was always under the impression that it was because maybe somebody heard you guys rocking out to, Manson or Nine Inch Nails or something. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, he goes with you're from the Northeast. He goes with your attitudes and your accents, the way you guys sound. He goes, I just think this would be something that could get over for you guys because I want to bring you guys in. He goes, but I hate masks. He hates masks, but when he brought us in the Ring of Honor, he had us wear masks.
Yeah, I was going to say, he brought you guys back with the hoods on.
Right.
We got uglier.
But wait, so wait, is that either of you guys' preferred genre of music?
I mean, I listen to heavy stuff growing up. I always have. But my genre of music literally ranges from, it depends on my mood. Classical music, Billy Joel, classic rock, all the way up to heavy metal. So I'm all over the place, just depending on my mood or what kind of mood I'm trying to get into. So Chaz,
do you have a top three favorite artists or bands?
Favorite artists, bands. I love Billy Joel. Okay. I love Guns N' Roses. I love AC/DC.
Okay.
So I cover the whole spectrum. Yeah.
What about you, Glenn?
Yeah, back when I was growing up, it was like MTV had the concerts on Saturday night. And it used to be like Ozzy Osbourne and like AC/DC and all that stuff. And I used to sit there with your little recorder and try to tape it and stuff like that. So, I have to say, I guess when I was younger, I was like an Ozzy fan, Rush, bands like that, I got into. And I hear them on the radio today, and it's just like, oh my God, it brings back memories. I don't know if Billy Squier was considered like heavy metal or anything else like that. But like Billy Squier used to be, somebody I would listen to, and definitely AC/DC and Ozzy and stuff like that's back in the day when Ozzy was doing the crazy stuff and biting the heads off of the bat or the dove or whatever it was and stuff like that. So that was probably my top would be like, maybe like Ozzy and AC/DC and probably Billy Squier.
So wait, hold on, just to clarify, Ozzy or Black Sabbath?
Ozzy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I liked Ozzy when he was by himself.
Yeah, my favorite band of all time is Pearl Jam, which is kind of derived like why, I've said this before, I'm not shy about it. The Headbangers were my favorite tag team because I love grunge music. Like grunge was my scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you give me some Red Hot Chili Peppers, some, you got Spin Doctors in there. I mean, that whole
Whoa!
Crash Test Dummies. Yeah.
Dude, now we're going anything 90s, like sign me up. I just had this talk with Simon Diamond because he's a big Van Halen fan. Pat loves Van Halen. And he went on and said there's no redeemable qualities about 90s music. And I was blown away, dude. I was like, what? What? How can you say that?
One of the biggest pop probably we ever got was we did a show with WWF in Seattle.
Oh.
And it was
oh, there he is.
Fuck,
he was frozen.
Huh?
You were frozen. We didn't hear you. You were frozen.
I can hear
you. Frozen. It's you frozen.
I'm not frozen.
No, you're frozen because your mouth is not moving, so therefore you're frozen. No, it was we wrestled in Seattle, and it was who was it? Warren Moon was our guest ring announcer.
Oh man,
yeah,
huge pop. I mean, that was what 97, 98. So that's when the grunge music was huge, especially out there.
Yeah, dude, that's is there footage of this? I would kill to see.
It was a house show. It was a house show. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a house show.
Well, speaking of footage, moving right along into something that I wanted to chat with you guys. Uncle Glenn, Uncle Chaz, we have
oh.
I got
You're welcome.
Avocados. We haven't done a lot of AEW chatter here on the Headbangers Variety program, but man, Glenn, do you keep up? Do you watch AEW? Even if you don't watch the programs? Do you do like I do, where I just watch the highlights on YouTube?
I see highlights and stuff like that from like on Facebook or Twitter or God, whatever it's called now, X I'll see it from time to time.
And Chaz, you do the same, right? You don't watch the weekly
program.
Yeah,
I don't really watch it. I'll watch if something catches my eye, I may hit a reel or something on Instagram, but for the most part, I don't know if like there's something with Edge so little pieces here and there I pick up on.
Well, speaking of something that caught the eye, Tony Khan got beat up last Wednesday.
I saw that.
That was one thing that did catch my eye.
Boys,
wait, but did you see him at the NFL draft? He was all sitting there. Yes, I saw that. And I popped. I was like, "That's selling the gimmick." Yeah, that was it.
But he's selling the gimmick as he's sitting there going like this. Like,
yes.
Yeah. Chaz and I were just talking right before you came on about he sold the gimmick Andy Kaufman style, but he's sitting there with a smile on his face and he's turning his head with no problem, like not even wincing.
And then the funny part is his dad sitting next to him and he has this
right behind him. Yes.
This look of disgust in his face, like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yes, I did see that too.
Because my other part of that was, because this is what brought it up, was I sent you guys the clip of the pile driver, and what's his name came off the top rope with the flip, and I'm like, what did that add to the move?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Not even to mention the fact that Tony's head was like a foot off the mat.
Right.
Hey, protecting your money. That's what you're doing, protecting that money.
I mean, again, but then it begs the question: why even bother doing the spot if you don't feel comfortable enough? The punch to the stomach was enough. They could have super kicked him, whatever. You're gonna go for literally one of the most dangerous moves in the history of professional wrestling on a completely untrained billionaire and expose the business.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to recreate the storyline of beating up the boss and trying to take over the company, then go ahead. But there's other ways you could have done it to make it better, to sell it more than because again, the flippity flip thing off the top rope, if you watch it, does absolutely nothing. It would have been the same impact either way. And like you said, his head was just far away anyway, which I get. Camera angles got to pick things up and move it and not pick it up. But either way, it didn't really add anything to it.
No. But you're right. With the other guy could have just stood there holding Tony's ankles and drove him down.
Right. Like the old, I think it was Lawler. I know Lawler always did the pile driver, but they used to do it. with the pile driver, and the guy was standing on the second rope and act like they were hitting his legs.
Spike pile driver.
Spike pile driver. That's
Spike pile driver. Yeah, Taker and Kane did it for a hiccup in the late '90s, and then they never did it again.
Well, that's because Steve broke his neck. So,
but then there's that. Yeah, geez, Louise. You guys were back.
Not that I wanted to see Steve break his neck, but I am thankful he broke his neck because that's how we ended up winning the tag titles because Steve was hurt. So.
Yes.
You can't just bring that up and then not elaborate, dude. That's one of the juiciest stories that you two could talk about on here.
What, that story about how we got in that match?
Yeah, dude. SummerSlam, and then what was it? It was the Fatal 4-Way.
No, that was Ground Zero.
Ground Zero, the Fatal
Ground
4-Way,
Zero.
right?
Yes.
It was in your house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was Steve and Dude Love were tag champs. Steve was hurt, so at the last minute they threw us in. Which was what LOD, the Godwins, and Owen and Davey.
And the Blackjacks. Owen and Davey.
Blackjacks was WrestleMania. It was Owen and Davey. And I don't know if we talked about this before, but that's when Cornette took us down into the bowels of the Louisville Garden in the parking lot and said, "Hey, I need you boys to come with me." And we went downstairs and we're like, "Well, what are we doing down here, Jimmy? We're in the middle of nowhere. Like, are you killing us? Like, what do we do?" That bad. And he's like, "Nope, wanted to bring you guys down here and let you know that you're winning the belts tonight." And we both were like, "All right, cool." And he goes,
"Cool."
No. He goes, "I brought you down here so you could jump up and down and scream and yell with no one else around. So let's do it together." And all three of us were huddled up. We were jumping around.
Yeah.
And then
it was like a full circle.
Yeah. And then we're in the meeting with everybody going over the match and what was going to happen. And it was at the end when they were like, "All right, Stone Cold's going to come down. You guys go for your finish." We go through the whole thing, and Owen gets stunned, and I cover him 1, 2, 3. So we're sitting there, and I can remember sitting there going like this. Okay, that's cool, like this. And we're just sitting there, and Phineas looks over. He goes, "It's okay. You guys can smile. It's all right. You can do it."
Oh, my God. Shoot.
Because they all knew. We were like little kids. We were like giddy. It was so exciting.
Yeah, it's always so frustrating to talk to people that have, been on a much higher level than I've ever been, which is not hard to do, but and they try to downplay the excitement. Like, dude, you are literally immortalized.
Yeah.
You guys have done stuff that's going to outlive the both of you.
It's so weird because people always ask us, what was that feeling like and stuff like that. And it's so hard to put into words that it's just, it like the words that we just, like Chaz just said, it doesn't even do it enough justice.
No.
The feeling that you get inside and just, oh my God, it's like Christmas morning times 10 when you were like 8.
I said this, I did a Q&A at River City Wrestling Con last year with Booker T. And I said along the lines of this, I said, have you ever stopped? And this applies to the both of you, to the umpteenth degree. Have you ever stopped and really sat and taken an internal look, like inward, and realized, like, not only are you an action figure, not only are you a video game, you're in the record books of the biggest professional wrestling company of all time as not only tag team champions, but during the hottest time in professional wrestling. The Headbangers can say they were the #1 tag team in the world. And you've competed at a WrestleMania, which less than I don't even know what the fractionage is for the number of people that have become professional wrestlers and the number of people that have been able to say they did that. And you guys did it, Chaz.
I've sat here.
You just gave me goosebumps.
I mean, you can see everything behind me.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's. I don't know. You can't.
No, don't be modest. Don't be modest.
I'm not. I'm saying it's like Glenn just said. It's hard to put into words. Of here's I was a kid in high school and that went over to the Spectrum in Philly every month to watch the show, and I was excited because my best friend and I would go and we made these fake 2x4s for Hacksaw Jim Duggan and held them up. We're yelling "ho" on the camera, and as soon as we saw the green light come on, we would start giving them the middle finger to the camera just to get on. They taped it, and next month it would be on TV in our local area. So, and I had friends in high school. I was always like, "Oh, I'm going to be one in that ring one day," and they were like, "Yeah, okay, bullshit." But like I talked about it before, that very first match I ever had in the WWF ring against Adam Bomb. At that moment, I was just like, holy shit, this is the greatest thing ever. So to get from that point to where we got to, and now to where we are with, you know, the Nostalgia Legends contract that we have and new figures coming out and all that stuff. I mean, we are very humble about it. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know.
It's so funny because, like Chaz was saying, like, you know, when we were, I guess, at the top and stuff like that, we still lived in the towns that we grew up in. We still, you know, did the same things that we always did. We just always looked at it like we just had different jobs than everybody else. And yeah, it was, you know, televised, you know, 4 nights a week and stuff like that. And we were tag team champs. And it was just, you know, when it hit me, and I said this to Chaz, when we signed the Legends deal and stuff like that, and they started bringing stuff back out again of us and everything else, it finally like really like smacked me in the side of the face and going, wow, we were something, you know.
Yeah.
And it was weird. The other day I walked into my local Wawa, and the lady up front, she goes, why do you look so familiar? And I was like, you know, you probably saw my picture on the wall at the post office or something like that. She's like, no, didn't you wrestle? And it was like, you know, people still, you know, and it humbles me that people still remember, you know, and stuff that we did. It just, I don't know, it's humbling. Because, you know, it never really got to our heads, you know, the stardom and stuff like that. We were just, you know, everybody says 2 kids from South Jersey. That's all we were.
Yeah, but that's, you know, and it's evident. I've told you guys. I think I said it the first episode that I did with Chaz when you were on the cruise, Glenn. Like, my brother, my entire family. This is not to bring the mood down, but they've not really supported my time in wrestling. My brother's been to less than a handful of matches, and one of the few was the first time
Me
Frankie
too.
and I wrestled you guys.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and he
we
was.
don't, Simon. We don't support your wrestling anymore either. So I'm just.
I know you don't. We've had this.
That's only because of your health reasons, you fucking moron. Get out of the ring.
Yeah. I wrestled Saturday, and I feel like I fell out of a tree today.
Yeah, stop.
Yeah.
But you know, you guys hit Frankie with the double flapjack, and I turned towards the crowd to sell, and I looked into the second row, and my brother's sitting there, like bawling, like tears falling out of his face. So I immediately thought something's wrong. Somebody died. Something happened. When I came to see him after the match, he was like, "You did it. Like, we have their action figure sitting on your trivia desk at home. Like, you know."
Yeah. See, it's funny stuff like that. Like, it's flattering. It's great to hear, but at the same time, it makes me feel uncomfortable for some odd reason. It's like when we go to shows and people are like, oh my God, like, you know, I grew up watching you. You're my favorite tag team. My response is always, oh, you're just saying that because we're here. Demolition's right over there. You go and tell them the same thing, right? Like, but they're like, no, really. And then they go into like storylines and different, like story like you just told with your brother. They'll share that with us. But I don't know, for some odd reason, because like Glenn said, it's just a job to us. Like, we're just fortunate enough to do something we enjoy doing that puts us on TV. That it's like, for some odd reason, and I don't know why, it just makes me feel kind of uncomfortable. And it's actually funny because it was a month or so ago, we did a show up in New York, and Glenn says, he goes, hey, remember the old timers would sit in the locker room and they'd be like, hey, I've been wrestling longer than most of these kids been alive. Glenn goes, that's us. I go, get the fuck out of here. And I look over at the kid over here and I go, how old are you? He goes, 24. And I'm like, shit, he's right. I've been doing this 31 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's flattering and it's nice to hear. But for some odd reason, for me, it makes me uncomfortable. And I don't know why. It just does.
No, I get it. I mean, on a much lesser scale, when I first got back, so I took time off when Harry, my little one, was born. And I had a guy come up to me my first show back and was like, hey, I just want to tell you, you came and wrestled in Tallahassee however long ago. I was like 14, and my mom brought me to the show. When I saw you go out there and cut your promo, and the crowd is chanting Simon Sucks, on the drive home, I told my mom, like, I want to be like that guy. I want to solicit the response. And I was like, geez, you were 14? Like, I've been wrestling more than half of your life.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy, but it's a crazy, fun business.
So if you guys weren't
Yeah.
under the Legend contract and Tony Khan backed up the Brinks truck to the Headbangers headquarters, would you guys go?
I mean, for me, it would depend. I mean, yeah, the money's nice, but what state? Like, is it just to get in the ring and wrestle? Is it to be more of an agent to help out? Is it a long-term thing? Because like
Deal. Yeah.
I don't want to say easily. I mean, let's say and I'll use WWE as an example. Let's say they came to us and said, "Listen, we'd like you to come back. We're going to put you under a 3-year deal. You'll be full-time 3-year deal." First of all, I don't want to be gone full-time. That's one thing.
Oh yeah, wait, hold on. Not to interrupt, but full disclosure, I don't think this is like breaking too much of the fourth wall, but to give full disclosure to the fans and the listeners, you guys have been approached about doing a spot there, but what is it worth it to have the Headbangers come in just to get, just to put another team over, just to get jobbed out, whatever. So I just want to let the listeners know that was presented, but I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chaz.
Yeah, that got presented. And that's why I was actually kind of surprised Glenn said FTR, because they wanted us to come in and just put them over.
And work them, yeah.
And when we were like, no, if it's a storyline or an angle, yes, that's different. But for me, I've been with the same company for 15 years. I've been pimping copiers and printers now for 22 years. So if I had to stop doing that for 3 years, and then at the end of 3 years, either company, whether it's AEW or WWE, say to me, "Okay, we're done," I'm like, now what do I do? So
you got to start over.
Yeah. So I've built a career now around, I joke around, pimping copiers and printers, but that's what I do. So it would have to be, first of all, if the money made it so I'd never had to work and pimp copiers again, yeah. But if it was like a storyline, if it was long term, like kind of where, because I think I shared this with you before, my thought always was, once we got to WWF, I would wrestle till I was 40, and then I wanted to be a road agent, which they now call producers. Like, that's what I always thought I would do. But obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, so signing some sort of deal, it would have to be astronomical to where I don't have to worry about money again. And or part-time.
So would you prefer, well, I'll let Glenn, what about you before I ask the follow-up?
Probably the same, because, after, wrestling, there is life after wrestling, and we both found that. So, and, we're doing pretty good for ourselves with, staying at home and stuff like that. And, it's hard again, to pack back up. Like when we go away just for like a weekend or something like that, we're always in the airport and we look at each other and go, why did we say yes? And then once we get to the shows and everything else, we're like, oh, this is why. And, we have the time that we spend together and stuff like that. So yeah, I would totally be right behind Chaz with that. It would have to have some kind of meaning and depth to it.
So would you guys prefer an in-ring return that was lucrative, that was long-term, or would you almost prefer, hey, we want you guys to lead the next era of tag team wrestlers as agents, as trainers, as producers?
I would love to do that, to do behind the scenes training, helping with an occasional in-ring, spot here and there. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy helping. If I didn't wrestle, I'd probably be a teacher. I was going to school for teaching. I didn't know what I was going to do, so I was literally at the Camden County Junior Community College by my house, and I was going to. My idea was like, all right, well, I don't know what I want to do. I'll go be a gym teacher, and I can coach wrestling and coach baseball. I can coach sports. That's probably the route I would have ended up at if I did not end up wrestling, because I love coaching. I love going down to schools and helping kids. And what I love about it is when they take what you say and you see them go out and try it.
Yes.
I want people who want to get better and learn. I don't like the person that goes, oh, that won't work. Oh yeah, I already know that. Okay, well, if you already know it, get the fuck out of the ring then. Like, that's kind of my thought. But I would love to be able to be there in the back, like helping out. Like, I would love to be one of the guys at NXT, working with Sean, helping the young kids. I would love that job. That would be, if they offered me something like that, and it was lucrative enough, and I mean, it's only 2 hours up the road. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's something I would 100% be interested in.
What about a Headbangers training academy?
We've thought about that.
we've played with that for a while. So we thought about that and everything else, and then it's like eh,
It's
it's scary because you don't know how many people would actually, buy into it and show up and stuff like that.
like, yeah, you don't know how many people are going to come. You got to buy the investment up front's big by buying a ring, by buying, finding a warehouse. Then you got to worry about putting on shows. Like there's a lot involved with that where I'll be honest with you. If it's going to cut into me going out at camp and sitting out there and riding my side by side around, I'd rather be out in the woods in camp.
Yeah, because I was gonna say you the coaching thing. You did a lot of that. I mean, I assume you did a lot of that with Tyler and soccer off to the side. Glenn, did you do a lot of coaching with the girls?
It was funny before I wrestled. I used to coach like pee wee football and stuff like that for like 9 and 10-year-olds and stuff like that. So I did that before I actually even got into wrestling. So I did like Pop Warner football and
Oh
and
wow!
and the worked with the kids, and then I got into wrestling and became the head trainer for the Monster Factory and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean I did a lot of teaching and training and stuff like that beforehand too. I don't know, God, what I would have done if wrestling didn't happen. I have no idea because I mean like Chaz, he had that the college and stuff like that. I had like pretty much nothing lined up. I mean, I had a degree in, basic computer operations, the big mainframes and stuff like that, but nothing that I really wanted to do.
Wait,
So
holy cow! You didn't have so when you started, you didn't have a fallback plan.
I had no fallback plan. I was living at home with my mom. My mom's second husband, my stepfather, he paid for the school. Um, I was working 9 at night to 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oof.
Just doing like payroll checks. Like I was running payroll checks for it was called ABC payroll. So I really didn't have I went down to school because it was interesting. It was, I always had that physicality behind me with, playing football from the time I was 8 years old all the way up through high school and wrestled in high school and stuff like that. So I always had that, physicality behind me, and I missed it when I got out of school. So
Mm.
I had no backup plan, none whatsoever. Yeah.
So, Chaz, do you think if wrestling hadn't panned out as successfully as it did, you think you'd be a teacher right now?
Oh, I mean, probably. I mean, even after I graduated high school, I went back, and when I got enough credits, like I still went back, and I was a big band geek in high school, so I went back and I helped with the band.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
It's a different conversation. Different conversation. No, let me stay on this track before you bust my balls about being a band geek.
Yeah, he liked the skin flute.
Yeah. Um, so I would go back and help with the marching band. I would go and help coach, teach with that, and then I went back with high school with the wrestling team, and I ended up being an assistant coach on the wrestling team. I helped out, like I was at all the events for wrestling and all of marching band. So literally for so it was 3.5 years. I was still going back and helping and coaching and teaching until I didn't stop doing it until we went on the road.
So you really do have like the coaching, teaching, like passing on information, like embedded in you, huh?
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes, I love helping.
Glenn, did you do collegiate style amateur wrestling or just football?
Yeah, in high school. Yeah, no, I did it. That's how me and Chaz knew of each other. Like, cause our schools were sister schools. Like when we had like tournaments and stuff like that, his school would come to my school and we would have. So we
Our
knew of
schools
each
were
other, but
our
never really
schools.
knew each other.
Yeah, our schools were in the same district, so our schools would bang heads, and we knew of each other, but we were different weight classes.
Yeah, so you guys, so it's not like an Edge and Christian thing where you guys were childhood friends
No.
growing up. I do see a lot of that though when people, like the message boards or the forums, like, oh yeah, the Headbangers grew up together. It's like, no. You guys met at the Monster Factory?
That's
Correct.
when we officially met. Was when I first went there that first night to watch a show, and people think that so much. And this is a funny story. That we were wrestling as a spider still, had the mask on at the Monster Factory. Before the show, we're out there like selling the silly string and gimmicks. His mom came up to me. She had a full 10-minute conversation with me thinking I was Glenn. And the first time I met her, we were in Glenn's basement, and she comes down, and Glenn's like, "Hey, this is my mom." So I stood up to be nice and be polite to say, "Hey, nice to meet you," and she fucking slapped me in the face. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" She goes, "I heard that you're exactly like Glenn. That's for all the stuff you're about to do and all the stuff you probably have already done." She fucking just bam. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. So we do have a cliffhanger question for next time. And another thing I really would love to touch on in the next episode is you guys, I know it's not a huge time period, but fascination for me is Glenn and Chaz as the nuns, the flying nuns.
Yeah.
So that's
I love that. I love that gimmick.
Did you? Okay, I don't want to get too much into it now.
Yeah.
So
I do want to get
before you ask the question.
No, I'm not going to give the question. I'm going to get you guys' answer.
Right. Let me do the fire round with Glenn.
Oh, here we go, baby.
So,
here we go.
Glenn, rapid fire questions. First word, first answer that comes to your mind.
Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Literally, the answer at the forefront of your mind, Uncle Glenn.
So, ready? Like right now, all I'm thinking about is boobs. So, go.
I mean, listen, if the favorite app you use on your phone is boobs, say boobs.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
If you could have any car, what would you have?
Corvette.
First job.
Rite Aid.
Your favorite body part?
Boobs.
Your hidden talent?
I'm a good sewer.
Favorite band?
Marilyn Man or Ozzy.
Favorite Avenger?
Ooh.
Avenger?
Yeah.
No idea.
What?
Favorite child?
Not something I watch.
Favorite child?
Favorite child? All of them.
All right, so favorite wife? and we'll stop with that. I just thought those two were funny at the
end. Wow. I thought you were going to answer. I thought he was going to hook you with the rapid.
No, it fucked up with the list the way I had it. Like, you don't have a favorite Avenger?
What's the Avengers? I mean, I know it's a movie, but I couldn't name one Avenger. What, Captain America?
I don't know. Yes. I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
Okay. Captain America. It's the only Avenger I know.
So yeah. Hulk, Thor, Iron Man.
They're superheroes to me. Like when I was growing up, they weren't called the Avengers. That movie didn't come out until later.
They were the Avengers way before the movie came out. It's a comic book.
Listen, no. See, when you say Incredible Hulk, I think of Lou Ferrigno and the show, The Incredible Hulk, not the cartoon or anything else like that.
I'm gonna come over. We're gonna do a marathon.
Listen, I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
That's wild. So wait, so what genre of movie do you prefer then? Because I figured you were just.
I'm a comedy. I'm either a Adam Sandler comedy or a hardcore horror guy. I love blood and guts
with boobs.
With boobs.
With boobs, yeah.
So wait, what kind of?
So
what kind of horror? Like slasher, like psychological?
Yeah, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, Jason, Freddy, all that. Nightmare on Elm Street, stuff like that.
So, but what scares you? Is there a genre that like creeps you out? Like I know some people are scared of aliens. Some people are scared of like The Exorcist and possession.
Probably leprechauns or like evil clowns. Yeah, leprechauns, evil, and I even have a leprechaun on my arm.
I was gonna say you have a
weird.
Leprechaun tattooed.
Yeah.
The other thing that would scare him is no boobs.
Yes, no boobs.
Wait, Chaz, what about you?
What do you mean? What about me?
Like I know you're nerdy into comic book stuff too, but are you is horror next down the line?
Yeah, I'm not a big horror fan. It's funny, when I was younger, I probably watched it more. Like, I remember growing up watching like Amityville Horror and being petrified out of my skull. And
Oh,
then when
yeah.
I bought my house in New Jersey, my basement downstairs was kind of like that was my man cave downstairs. I went and I bought the movie on DVD, and I put it in. I turned all the lights out, and I'm like, yes, I'm ready to be scared. And then I sat there going, why the fuck was I scared at this movie? Like, this is just stupid.
Oh, come on, dude.
But yeah, movies like that, like Poltergeist, used to freak me out. The newer stuff, I'm like, could do with or without. I'd rather go like that Civil War movie that is out. I haven't seen it yet, but I want to go see that. I'm into comedy. I love anything with Adam Sandler is obviously the best. But like,
so you're
TV,
both Adam Sandler fans.
oh yeah,
Oh
huge,
yeah.
huge. That got us through so many nights and years on the road. Adam Sandler, listening to his
Driving.
stuff over and over again. Especially Piece of Shit Car. What a great song. But like, if I'm sitting home watching TV, I enjoy like Law and Order, shows like that, things about like the FBI, detectives, that stuff. I enjoy that stuff.
So like, you like crime dramas, huh?
Yeah. Have you
Yeah,
seen? So this was on Paramount Plus, and I just finished it. Have you seen Joe Pickett?
No.
Joe Pickett. Watch Joe Pickett.
Joe
on
Pickett.
that.
Jenny just started True Detective.
Yeah. See, that doesn't even. I don't even know. I don't know. Is that like documentaries, like kind of like real stuff, or is that like?
No. It's a drama. I think the first season is Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but speaking of the horror, I think as the show picks up steam and the Headbangers Variety Hour, just to give more content, against my better judgment, I'm gonna get the three of us into Halloween Horror Nights this year and document the experience.
I went last year. I've gone every year for the.
I've been one time, and I took Tyler, and it was something with zombies, and I'll never forget it. Tyler was standing behind the trash cans like this, and I'm like, "Are you that scared?" And he's like, and one of the zombies would walk by, and he would jump out and yell at the zombie. He was scaring the zombies. He was probably 8 or 9.
Jeez, but hey, we hit the 42-minute mark. I want the answers to the question that I texted you earlier. That I said, I don't know if it's gonna get heat. I don't know if you guys are willing to answer this, but Glenn, you go first. I'm not gonna ask the question to the public, but you know the
Just
question.
give the
What was your answer?
Just give the Vader and Doug and Phil.
So Doug and Phil, Phil LaFond?
Yes.
Yep.
Doug Furness
and Doug Furness.
And Doug Furness. Okay. And what about you, Chaz?
Well, Glenn's other answer is Vader.
Vader.
Which I know why. I know both reasons. So my go-to was, besides you and Frankie, was was Doug and Phil. Doug and Phil is my answer also.
Oh wait, you share the sentiment about Doug and Phil?
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. Genuinely cannot wait to explore that, because I always thought those guys were great. Granted, I was never in the ring with them, but
Stop. But
don't give it away.
Yeah, you're right. Well, folks,
so before we go, now that we've given our answer, before we go, Saturday night, Glenn and I will be in Marquette, Michigan.
Marquette.
Oh, you can't say it.
Marquette Mania.
Marquette Mania, up in Michigan. So come out, look it up. It's marquettemania.com. Check it out. If you're up in the area, come check us out. We'll be there signing autographs, taking pictures, kissing babies, and
T-shirts, action figures, everything.
And all that other stuff.
Get your Headbanger stuff, guys. Get your selfies and your pictures in Marquette Mania in Michigan.
Yes. Good stuff. What about you? Where are you at this weekend?
I will be wrestling in Seminole, Florida for live pro wrestling. There is a young kid that is calling himself the King of Florida, and I have taken genuine offense to it. So we're going to find out if he can put me down to take Frankie's title, because I don't like it. And it's a shoot. I lost my mind when I found out about this.
Great. So we want
video.
It's
disrespectful.
Hitting him with a 2x4.
Yeah. Something.
Yeah.
Well, folks, on behalf of Headbanger Mosh, on behalf of Headbanger Thrasher, I am Headbanger Sez, This is the Headbanger Variety Hour. We cannot wait for you to join us for the next episode next week. Same headbanging time, same headbanging channel.
And Glenn doesn't know anything about superheroes, so he wouldn't understand that reference.
Oh,
Batman! Come on, wow. I know that's Batman. That's fun. Yes.
I guess even a blind squirrel finds a nut.
Every now and then.
That's right.
Thank you, everybody.